You just crossed over into the Logan Zone. From ECU Pirate football to the whole college landscape to basically anything else that's on his mind, Coach Steve Logan's talking about it now.
You don't coach at East Carolina. You don't come to East Carolina. You don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart.
Tweet at Steve Logan Show with your takes or call 252-561-GAME for your spot in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. Now, here's Steve Logan.
Welcome in, Week 16 edition of the Logan Zone. Philip Pilkington here, alongside the coach, Steve Logan. We thank you guys for tuning in at our special 4 o'clock time. This is due to Pirate Basketball Network. Coverage for that will begin at 6:30 for that just after 7 tip against Appalachian State. But before we get over to Coach, we do want to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. Bill Clark Homes has been there for ECU, and they can continue to support the Pirates year after year because they continue to build quality homes in neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions. We will have Jim Zoki with us here at about 4:20. But for now, we're going to toss it over to the host of the Logan Zone, Coach Steve Logan. How's it going, Coach?
All right. I'm just sitting here with I just keep adding to my list of subjects to bring up during our next 2 hours. And it's been quite a week. I mean, really quite a week. I know, Philip, right there in Greenville, America, there's been some movement on the coaching staff. So real quickly, just bring folks up to speed on what's going on with the coaching staff there at East Carolina.
Yeah, so we'll start chronological order here. Monday, Josh Aldridge, first-year defensive coordinator for the East Carolina Pirates, took a lateral move to go to an in-conference foe, South Florida. We're hearing rumors, not anything confirmed, that his pay will be right around the same, but we're also hearing rumors that he will have $8 million to spend just on his defensive loan. For those of you who don't know, South Florida was given an $14 million loan from main campus to the athletic department for next year, which will get them to the full $22.5 million allotted for for revenue sharing. We're hearing about 18 of that roughly will go to football, about 8 to the defense. Rest will be obviously for basketball and other sports. And then John David Baker does make the move up to the SEC, where he took the offensive coordinator job at Ole Miss. For those of you who do not remember, John David Baker was the tight ends coach at Ole Miss a few years back before he came to East Carolina there when Lane Kiffin departed for Baton Rouge. The gentleman who was the defensive coordinator who had worked with Coach Baker got promoted to the head coaching job. Most of the offensive staff is going with Coach Kiffin down to LSU, and JDB was given the offensive coordinator position there in Oxford.
Well, so that leads into on my list of things to talk about on the show. And by the way, I will drop anything I'm doing to talk to anybody that wishes to call at 252-561-4263. You can hit me on Twitter at Steve Logan Show, and I'll drop what I'm doing and entertain any questions that you may have as you're driving home or whatever the case may be. But just real quickly, I've got, this whole thing about staffing. That news broke in Greenville, East Carolina. Of course, this is the time of year that all coaching staffs are going through makeovers. It's routine. And I've been on both sides of it. I've been the guy moving. I've been the guy hiring. I've been the guy getting fired. I've been the guy firing. So I've been in the trenches with all that, and there are a lot of dynamics at play that I'm going to talk about, which kind of dovetails into the most incredible thing. I've told my wife 100 times that if you're bored, all you really got to do is wake up the next morning and open up the newspaper, which of course today is the computer or your telephone, and read the internet, because you just cannot believe what happened as you slept. And so you wake up and the head coach at Michigan gets fired for having an affair, and then to trump it all, obviously he's got some huge emotional damage now, threatened to kill himself, and they've got him in protective custody, Sharon Moore. But this has to do with hiring and firing people. I'm gonna thread all this together for you as we travel along here. I do, by the way, Pilk, I know you're a huge Duke fan, and I just want to know, your whole life you've been Duke, and in fact, right in front of me here, okay, this year, in this particular football season, I want to read to our audience, and I want you to give a quick comment. I'm going to read to the audience what 7 victories and 5 defeats can get you in this year of 2025 football. Number 1, Clemson went 7-5, and they're trying to fire Dabo Swinney. North Carolina State went 7-5, and everybody at North Carolina State said, hey, here we go again, and we're going to give Dave Dorn another year. The University of California went 7-5, and they fired the head coach, Justin Wilcox. Duke went 7-5, and they're ACC champions. So how long have you been on the planet, Pilk?
Since 1998, so I've watched a lot of losing Duke football.
Well, let me tell you something. You know what I almost did a whole show on? I watched the Duke game, all right? I watched the game against Virginia. And I am slow. I'm really slow to be critical of coaches' in-game decision-making. But as you know, over the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, I'm telling you, there's a new breed of coaches out there, the younger generation, and I know what I sound like when I say this. I'm the old man telling everybody to get off my lawn, but I'm just telling you that the analytic wave that has hit the collegiate and the pro coaching world, but mainly the collegiate coaching world, the late game decisions and how to manage a football game is totally lost on this generation. I see Saturday after Saturday after Saturday, and the handling of the final 2.5 minutes of the Duke-Virginia football game by a man that I really respect, Manny Diaz, was criminal. Duke tried every way in the world to hand that game back to Virginia. And inside of 2 minutes, I bet you there were 3. I almost went back and watched the film and made notes to bring onto this show about the absolute mismanagement of the time, the clock, and the timeouts, and understanding how many possessions were needed to lose that football game. Duke did all of that and still got away with it. But anyway, you've been on the planet 39 years now?
27.
27. Did you ever think you'd see Duke as an ACC champion?
No, man, Coach. When I was growing up, Duke would beat their 1AA school. Carolina would beat their 1AA school, and they'd play the last game of the season for the victory bell, and the winner would go 2-10, and the loser would go 1-11. And it was amazing when they beat North Carolina in 2013 and got to go play Jameis Winston in the championship game. I attended that as back in my high school days. And obviously knowing that Duke was going to get slaughtered, they did. Florida State won a national championship, Jameis won a Heisman, all that fun stuff. And I never thought that I would actually see Duke win a conference championship on the gridiron. I mean, basketball, it's routine. Baseball of late, they've won a couple. They've been pretty good. And yeah, man.
But in true Duke and ACC fashion, they won the championship with a 7-5 record, which absolutely blew the entire college football playoffs to smithereens, which I'll get to that in a minute as well.
13 years ago, Wisconsin went 7-5 and won the Big Ten, and here we sit 13 years later, the Big Ten's got the number 1 and 2 team in the country. So let's just fast forward to 2038, and the Atlantic Coast Conference will have the number 1 and number 2 team in the country, right?
Okay, I'll hold my breath till that happens, and I'll be bright blue. All right. But anyway, I had to slide that in there. I did that really for you. I want you to get your props.
Our commercial breaks here, but we're trying to get up with Coach right now. If you're tuning, our commercial breaks here, but we're trying to get up with Coach right now. If you're tuning in, this is the Logan Zone 4 to 6 today due to Pirate basketball. The basketball game will be played inside Williams Arena there, Coach. But I was saying, I appreciate you giving me my props. It was a fun night inside Bank of America Stadium. I was cold, but I was happy, so I left happy.
All right. Well, I don't know what happened there to the little connection. So anyway, and I don't even really know where I was as I was babbling along there. But anyway, we've got Jim Zoki coming on here in, what do we got?
About 10 minutes or so.
About 10 minutes. Good. Okay. Let's do this. The staffing, how to hire a staff. Losing coaches on your staff, and I'm speaking, the East Carolina audience is very attentive right now because the offensive coordinator's left, the defense coordinator's left. What are we going to do? How do you handle it? Let me just say this, from hiring, I had, and people sometimes don't give this the proper credit, but I'm just telling you, if you're a high school coach, and you had to hire a couple of guys to build a high school staff or a junior high coach or any kind of a coach, or if you own an electric company and you're going to hire an electrician to help in your business, I've got one rule, okay, about hiring people. Here it is. It's not a rule, it's a statement. The scariest thing you'll ever do in your entire life is hire anybody. Because I don't care how deeply you vet them. I don't care who knows who. Your best friend says, yeah, this is my buddy, hire him. I don't care how it comes about. I don't care if you hire a complete stranger. You don't know really what you're getting. It's an absolutely, when you really have to do it, and you really have to bring somebody into your tribe, somebody into your organization, somebody that everything they do and say, and every time they make a move out in public, it's going to come back on you. I'm just telling you, the scariest thing you'll ever do is hire anybody. Now, having said that, coincidentally, along with the two coordinators leaving East Carolina, Coach Harrell has got two big decisions to make. Now, I'm going to state the obvious here really quickly. Every head coach is halfway good at something concerning football. Now, there's a couple of exceptions to that, but let me explain myself. When I became a head coach at the junior college, or I became a head coach at East Carolina, I was halfway good at football, meaning I was confident and competent, relatively speaking, with the offensive side of the football. Okay, well, now you're the head coach. What are you going to do with the defense? Well, that's what I'm talking about. Now comes the scary part. You're going to give half your football team away. And this is on every staff. Kirby Smart, the head coach at Georgia, has given half of his football team away to Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator. And down the list you go. All right, so Blake Harrell obviously has made his bones and became a head coach because of his defensive prowess. And it was well earned and well deserved. Well, here you are. What are you going to do on offense? Well, the way things came about with Coach Harrell, the offensive coordinator was already in place when he was promoted from interim head coach. And things worked out beautifully for everybody. It was already there. Coach Harrell didn't necessarily hire John David Baker that I know of. It looked like a Mike Houston hire from my vantage point. I think it's pretty accurate to say that. So here we are down the road, and now suddenly Blake Harrell is faced with the same thing that every head coach is faced with when the other half of the football leaves. Now, the other half being what you are not an expert in, okay? So I've been there, particularly when I was named the head coach at East Carolina. I had to hire a defensive coordinator. Well, my first defensive coordinator, the first year that I hired a guy that I knew, and I had grown up with, and gave him the defense, and it was a complete disaster, just a disaster. And at the end of that year, we were ranked last in the nation in total defense, and I made a tough decision, had to let him go. And he went on other places and had some successes. You know, there were a lot of things, a lot of circumstances involved. Our talent level was low, blah, blah, blah. We can go on about that. But let me just get back to hiring, okay? At the American Conference level, and I'm going to be a mistake, and at the end of the first, going to be a mistake, and at the end of the first year, I was going to have to let him go because he wasn't good enough. Or he was going to be really good, and then guess what? He would be stolen from me, just like John David Baker gets off, he goes to Ole Miss. Because why? They proved competent. They grew in their, this is like the first time they got to be, have their own room, so to speak, or be a coordinator, so to speak, like John David Baker. This is the first time he got to be a coordinator, and he grew into it. And guess what? He's off and running, and, the future's all ahead of him. But what does that do for the guy that's back there in the head coach's chair? Well, you got another giant decision to make. But let me just, the other thing that happened to me this week, a young man that I've mentored just became a head coach, and we've been on the phone a good bit talking about staffing and things of this nature. And I mentioned to him, and he's in the same kind of a job, this breeding ground, proving ground type of job. He's not in an SEC job. When you're in the SEC, you just go buy a coach. You're going to pay every one of them $1 million a year to coach, and they're already proven, and you know what you're getting, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot less risky. So let's go back, and here's what I began to understand when I was hiring or putting together staff at East Carolina. I actively searched for older coaches that had been to the top, so to speak, and were excited about coming to work on the backside of their career. They weren't trying to be the next head coach at Notre Dame. They weren't trying to, climb up the ladder. So they'd already been up the ladder. And so I would actively search out guys like that were older than me. I mean, I was the head coach at East Carolina when I was 38, 39, 40, whatever that was. And I had guys on my staff that were 50 and 60 years old, purposefully, a couple of them. I tried to have one on offense, one on defense the whole time to provide substance in the event that I would lose the coordinator. And so just hold that hold that thought in mind. The other thing you got to do is you got to go find the young guy, and I'll give everybody an example that they probably can relate to these names. For instance, I had worked very briefly with Chuck Pagano as an assistant coach. And I became the head coach at East Carolina, and then Chuck Pagano had gone off and gotten fired at UNLV or some godforsaken place like that. He was out of a job. But this was what it dawned on me about bringing these guys in, and they would stay very short and they'd leave, and it just disrupted all the fabric of my staff, fabric of my program. And so I would take a Chuck Pagano, and then when I had a little knowledge and understanding and a little bit of wisdom, I could get a young man like that on the phone, and I would get Chuck Pagano. I'm using him as an example. This happened over and over and over, though. And I would say, look, here's the deal. You're out on the streets, or you're wishing to come to East Carolina because it looks like a promotion for you from wherever you are. But here's what I want you man-to-man to guarantee me. You're going to give me 2 complete football seasons. So normally you would bring somebody in January. They would go through the spring, you go through the fall, and normally it takes almost that long for somebody to truly integrate into your staff and catch the vibe, catch the thinking, catch the culture. 1 year. Then the second year that young man would be with me, they would blossom and be really, really good. At that point, and I would have this personal conversation with almost every guy on my staff, young guys. I'd say, we're at East Carolina. Don't come to me kind of like a little bit what the defensive coordinator's done. Take a lateral move. Don't come back in the day, I remember saying this to the younger coaches. Don't come to me at the end of 2 years and tell me you got a chance to go to Wake Forest. Now, back then, Wake Forest hadn't won a football game in 5,000 years. Don't come to me and tell me you got a chance to go to Wake Forest. Come in here and tell me you got a chance to go to Tennessee or something like that, and I will help you get the job. Well, sure enough, 2 or 3 years of Chuck, and Chuck comes in and says, I got a chance to go to Miami. I sat him down right in front of my desk. I called Butch Davis, who I grew up with. I said, Butch, you got a chance to hire Chuck. He's one of the best secondary coaches I've ever had in my life. There it went. He went to Miami. The rest is history. Chuck Pagano goes on and becomes the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. That's one of several men that I had the good fortune to work with and hire and help along the way. So I'm just throwing that out there for, the East Carolina people that are watching these coaching hires. There are reasons to hire an older coach that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about him leaving, but he's got a ton of knowledge and a ton of, substance that he can bring to your staff, and he's a great teacher, and he can stay with you. And I had 2 or 3 guys like that over a 10-year period at East Carolina. The young up-and-comers, got to have them, but you need to have some sort of an agreement, at least verbally, maybe legally these days. Put them on a 2-year contract that they have to buy their way out of to leave, so that it doesn't disrupt and tear up the fabric of your staff. There's a little comment on that, and I can go on for that for another 2 hours. But in the meantime, we're going to have Jim Szoke come in here right after the break, and y'all stay with us. We'll talk a little Pirate Bowl talk and check in on the Panthers. Y'all stay with us.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. The football stadium, the baseball stadium, the Pirate Club, whatever it is, Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all of this is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and in the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
Remember the days when you could go to your favorite butcher shop and get your pork chops or steaks cut just the way you like them? Well, you still can. Acre Station Meat Farm on Highway 32 in Pinetown, north of Washington, is Eastern Carolina's traditional butcher shop. Acre Station is where you can get your order cut the way you want it. The best sausage, bacon, and pork chops and steaks you'll ever taste. The short trip to Acre Station is worth the drive.
At Acre Station, you just get that good, friendly service you just can't find anymore.
I guarantee it's the best sausage and bacon you'll ever eat.
Looking for outdoor storage? Maybe a she shed, man cave, tiny home, or greenhouse? If so, East Carolina Outdoor Products is your one-stop shop. East Carolina Outdoor Products has just opened 2 locations in Greenville, on Memorial Drive across from Ron Ayers and on Greenville Boulevard across from AccuLink. East Carolina Outdoor Products also custom builds right in your lot. East Carolina Outdoor Products is the only company in Eastern North Carolina that manufactures, delivers, and sells outdoor storage buildings. And they're pirates. 10 locations in Eastern North Carolina.
At Flatlands Jessup, when we say your whole world covered, we really mean it. Our agency is dedicated to offering every type of coverage you might need, from farm owners and crop, home, and auto insurance to health and life policies. We've designed our services to ensure that every aspect of your insurance needs are met, all under one roof. Whether you're safeguarding your family, your farm, your property, or your future, we'll build a customized risk management program for your needs. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Are you unhappy with your smile? Doctors Bowman Paget and Associates can help you with state-of-the-art procedures to get your smile game day ready. Bowman Paget and Associates agree that dressing up like a pirate for game day is one thing, but smiling like one may not be the way you want to go. Schedule your appointment at bowmanpaget.com. That's bowmanpaget.com or call 252-752-1111. Doctors Bowman Paget and Associates.
We are the dentist of ECU. Hey!
Locals know, visitors discover, and everyone's welcome at Caribsea and Emerald Isle. Stop in for the handcrafted cocktails, stay for the live music and rooftop views at the Torpedo Lounge. Caribsea's menu features fresh seafood, hand-cut steaks, and the famous baked crab cakes locals swear by. Caribsea is the only spot on the island taking reservations with plenty of space for your crew. CaribseaRestaurant.com. For date night, family dinner, or a relaxed evening with friends, it's Caribsea and Emerald Isle.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back in Week 16 edition of the Logan Zone. Philip Pilkington here alongside Steve Logan. I do want to thank Bojangles, Bill Clark Homes, and Greenville Utilities, our three title sponsors of the Logan Zone here in the 2025-2026 edition of the show. We are now joined by the voice of East Carolina football and color commentator for the Panthers Radio Network, that is Jim Szoke. We are now going to toss it back over to Coach Logan and to Jim.
All right, back in the Logan Zone. Zoke, you with me, man?
Coach Logan right here. How are you?
I'm doing good. So you've had a week off and let the voice recover a little bit, and got to kind of poke your head up from out, look up, take around, and get a look at the bigger world. And I remember we used to have an open date, and I'd be coaching, and I'd look up, and I didn't even know what day it was. But so I know kind of what you're enjoying right now. But just real quickly, I want to touch on, the East Carolina, and it looks like they're going to be matched up with Pittsburgh. And Philip and I were talking about this a little bit before the show. But just, I don't know how deep in the woods you've gotten with that yet. I took a look at some of the numbers early on in the season. Pittsburgh was in a really great position, didn't finish quite as strong as they hoped, but they were in contention all the way to the bloody end of the crazy ACC. But, just on the surface, I think this is going to be a little bit of a tough matchup for East Carolina, just from the standpoint in fact, I pulled up a couple of games on ESPN and watched Pittsburgh. It looks like and this is normal and natural, it looks like their front seven on offense and their front seven on defense, they're going to be a little bit bigger, heavier, and stronger than what East Carolina's used to entertaining. Maybe South Florida has a bit of that. Maybe Memphis had some of it, but I think Pittsburgh's a little bit bigger, faster, and stronger than that. Have you had a chance to look at it?
A little bit. It's kind of like what you said. Pulled up some YouTube and looked at it and reading some notes about them. Their linebackers are the strength if they all opt to play in the game 2 weeks from now. But
another conversation.
Rasheem Biles were both all ACC guys, and they're really good at linebacker, especially. So that's going to be tough. But on the offensive side, it's it's a young quarterback. I know you love talking quarterbacks and young running backs.
Yep.
But this Mason Heinzschel was a freshman who started competing for the backup job at the beginning of the year, then ends up starting the last 9 games, and they like him a lot. Being a freshman, he's going to play, and their young running back is also a freshman. Shakarian Turner was their leading rusher. So those guys will be motivated to play. It's a bowl game, and different people, like when you're in a Power 4 school and you're playing a Group of 5 team, maybe a lot of stuff I've read is their fans were not thrilled about the level that they got as far as the ACC pecking order of bowl games. So I know Coach Narduzzi will have them ready to go, and these young guys are going to want to go. Their fans may not be ready to go, but I think the football team is going to be a tough challenge playing Pitt altogether.
Well, that is one of the upside-down advantages. When I was at East Carolina, the times that we went to a bowl, and we would find ourselves against a Stanford or something like that. It got back to me in 1995, I think it was, that Stanford did not want to come to the Liberty Bowl. And they showed up, and, we were tickled to death to be there. And so that upside-down dynamic did kick in. It does kick in. And so if Pittsburgh shows up anything like that, then the chip on the shoulder East Carolina thing, it will matter. And, that could work to East Carolina's favor. You got any comment, or, I know you've been keeping up with the coaching changes that are in play. And, that's going to have, I think that would have, particularly on the offensive side of the football, an effect, not in a good way for the East Carolina group. And I don't know if the offensive coordinator is going to stay for the bowl game at East Carolina, or if he's already gone to Ole Miss. Have you got any information on that?
I have not. I've been, unless Philip has got something today.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything as of, earlier today that indicates one way or another, so I don't have a answer to that, which, again, like you said, that would change things drastically if you don't have the offensive coordinator. You've got a head coach who was a defensive coordinator, so defense, I think we're fine. He'll probably have to co-coordinate the defensive side with one of his assistants, maybe Coach Tesh or somebody. But I think offensively, that'd be interesting to see how they approach that if JDB is not the offensive coordinator for the game.
All right, so what we're doing here, and we were talking about this earlier on Stephen Igo's show. So Stephen has heard, yes, both coaches will not coach in the bowl game as of now. Coach Harrell is going to call the defense with, as the Coach Tesh, defensive line coach, as Jim just mentioned there, is kind of the co-defensive coordinator in this scenario. He's been with Blake the longest. And then as far as the offensive side goes, Hunter McKay, who is the tight ends coach, is going to call the offensive plays. Right now, that is the plan. Neither coach has been at practice this week since taking their respective jobs and are not expected to be at the bowl game.
Well, there you go. That that possibly could matter, and or it could turn out to be a wonderful opportunity for a young man, and maybe he grows in and gets a chance to move up the staff. So it's going to be interesting, and it's East Carolina. If they go in there and knock off Pittsburgh, that would be a tremendous cherry on top of what has been a good football season. So. Zoke, let's shift gears and get to the Panthers, my favorite thing to just kind of stare at and wonder what the devil it is I'm trying to – I can't figure these guys out for anything, but here we are with 4 weeks left, and there's a chance. I mean, there's a real chance for these guys to sneak into the playoffs, and it begins this weekend with at the Saints. So give me some preview on that.
Yeah, and just big picture, 4 games to go. If the Panthers did nothing else than beat Tampa Bay both times they played them, they'll win the division because they're tied and obviously would win that tiebreaker. But you want to leave room to, not have to have that happen. We got to try to beat the same team twice in 3 weeks. Got to go to New Orleans. That team is not 3-10 that they're playing this week. They're tough. I mean, as Tampa Bay found out, they beat Tampa Bay last week. So New Orleans has 3 wins, and 1 against the Panthers and 1 against Tampa Bay, the 2 teams that lead the division. And he's not lighting it up, but again, quarterback, the rookie, I say rookie, 26-year-old rookie quarterback. He was 25 when they drafted him. He's 26 now. Tyler Shuck out of Louisville. 2-3 as the starter in there, but they've got a really good receiver in Chris Olave. They've got a really good pass-catching tight end in Juwan Johnson. I don't think, as we sit here today, that Alvin Kamara is going to play because he didn't practice the last 2 days. But they've got a rookie running back, Devin Neal, that they're plugging in. And honestly, Kamara wasn't doing much this year. I think he's kind of slowing down a little bit there. But their defense is good. They're 6th in stopping the pass. They're 12th overall in stopping things on that side. So they're formidable as far as as we found out. We lost to them 17-7 about a month ago. So it'll be a good win to get if they can get it down there.
Well, I can remember when I was coaching in that division, I was with Tampa Bay, and as I mentioned to you before, when we played the Saints, it was Drew Brees, and when we played Atlanta, it was Matt Ryan, and we'd play the Panthers, and it'd be Cam Newton, and we were kind of the odd man out. We were developing a young quarterback at the time, and things did not work out. But, the situation I'm watching the Panthers right now, the time is right. The time is right. If Bryce Young will continue and not have one of these fall off the cliff games like he's been so uneven this year, as have the Panthers. But if he, on the last 2 to 3 weeks, it seems like there's been some solid footing gained instead of one step forward, one step back. It's kind of like we've taken 2 steps forward now. But if you can go in there, and I'm like you, I'm gaining respect for the quarterback at the Saints, but I don't, the Saints, they're finding their footing in a way too late in this season. But at the same time, I remember, what I'm trying to say is we never felt, it wasn't unsettling to go play the New Orleans Saints like it was unsettling to go to Atlanta in the Dome or come to Charlotte with Cam Newton and all that other stuff. I just had the feeling at Tampa Bay that we could go and play the Saints anywhere, and we did. We constantly did, and I just wonder how the Panthers feel. Are the Saints still playing in the old Superdome?
Yeah, they are.
They are. Well, I mean, again, that place for some reason never did intimidate the way some of those other places did, and I just wonder if Bryce Young and the Panthers can just take a half a step forward from the last 2 to 3 weeks, the way they've behaved. I just really feel like that's a game that's ultimately really, really winnable.
Yeah, and the loss we had, Bryce only threw for 124 yards, but we also didn't run the ball really well. So I think they're really focused with both running backs being completely healthy in theory, Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle. Those 2 guys combined in the Rams game for 35 rushing attempts. I think they're going to do that first, even if the Saints try to take that away. I think they're going to start with that, is try to establish the run and get back to that mentality. I think they learned that lesson with the 49ers game on Monday night where they only ran it 9 times with the running back. So I think that's going to be where they put the stress of the offense for the Panthers is trying to run better. And a lot of stuff they talked about was they didn't block very well, like through the second level. Like a lot of stuff was getting stopped because they would get through the first level and just weren't getting any long gains. And that's been a point of emphasis this week. So look for that. And then that always makes Bryce better when the running game's working for him. He's got a great receiver in Tedoroa McMillan. The guy that's catching on now that he's healthy again is Jalen Coker, who's coming off a good game, 4 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown against the Rams. He's better than Xavier Legette, I think. And so I think that would give you a second option in the pass game in particular when McMillan's getting covered.
Well, they've got, if they can pull this off at the Saints, then of course you get the bonus. You come home and you've got Tampa at home after that. And it's just going to be a fascinating, if they pull this off at the Superdome, to come home and you got the Tampa game. And this is going to be one of the more meaningful football games that has been played, in Charlotte. And I don't know, I mean, how long have you been associated with the Panthers, Jim?
Every year, 31 years. But we've not been to the playoffs in 7 years. So this, they've not been any more than, say, a 7-win team, which they are at the moment, as far as a full season. Since then. So this is the first time in 7 years since they've been this competitive as far as getting into the postseason or having the opportunity to even get into the postseason. And tonight, Tampa Bay plays Atlanta. Of course, it's the Thursday night games. We'll be watching to see if we get some help from the Falcons, who've been a really underachieving team this year.
Well, the Falcons, as you know, we've talked about this on the air. Raheem Morris is a friend of mine. I worked for Raheem. I love the guy, love him. And I want desperately for him to succeed. But the wheels, when you spend all your capital on a first-round draft pick, as we've talked about with the Panthers and Bryce Young, but they spend all their capital on Michael Penix, a 3 ACL surgery guy coming in to the organization, which floored me. I've never heard of an organization taking that kind of a gamble. And sure enough, what has he got? He's got either his 3rd or 4th ACL right now, and the wheels have come off in Atlanta. And so, you got to believe Tampa Bay is going to go in there and probably win that football game. But I just think, if the Panthers can go do something in New Orleans and then come home, the atmosphere in Charlotte could be really, really something that you haven't seen, like I say, in 7 years. I hope that happens.
Yeah, it was funny because I was talking 2 days ago with Ron Rivera. I'm doing these Panther podcasts for the website and for their social media and all that. And so a lot of the focus with my conversation with Ron was the season 10 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl, went 17-2 overall. And we talked about the game that stood out was the NFC Championship game when they beat Arizona, scored 49 points against obviously a really good Arizona team, Bruce Arians in that group there. And that was the loudest, we had talked about it during the interviews while I was thinking about it. It was the loudest we can remember the stadium ever being. It was really the signature win of Ron Rivera's 9 years of being the coach there, too. Because, of course, they would go on to lose the Super Bowl to Denver 2 weeks later. But just to even have those games leading up to games like that and just the excitement. Coach, it's the chatter all week even, whether it's just the fans at where their workplace is or sports talk radio or whatever, just makes it all so much more fun and kind of creates a buzz around town even before you get up to game day, just having a team that's relevant playing the games that matter.
Well, I'll finish with this too, just from a program building standpoint for all of the fans. If you're inside the Panther building, here's some things that you can say privately that you can't say publicly. This is something that would be said in a staff meeting if I'm the head coach, or it would be said in places I've been, things exactly like what I'm getting ready to say. You would be in a staff meeting and say, you know what, guys, whether we get to the playoffs or not is almost inconsequential moving forward. What really, really matters is over these next 4 games, if we can just get to 8-8, A, B, and if Bryce Young continues to look like the guy that we can build around, then you go ahead into the draft next year and you're 7-9 or 8-8. But Bryce Young he gets better over the next 4 weeks. Then you go in and add a couple of pieces, and I'm just saying inside the staff room, privately, you can say those things out loud, how important it is that the quarterback gets better, continues to get better, the guy that we put all of our money and faith in. And if that happens, then you can begin to build in the draft and add a free agent every now and then and do that thing that leads you to a very competitive playoff football team over the next 2 to 3 years in the future. I'm just telling you that's the conversation in the closed door meetings inside that building.
No, that's a great point. And I think a lot of people were surprised when they had the 10th pick last year and they had the worst defense in the league in 2024. They spent that first pick on a wide receiver, Tedero McMillan, even though they spent a first-round pick the year before on Xavier Legette. And as you can look back now, that was a brilliant idea because it's given Bryce that go-to weapon in the passing game that gives him the best chance to see what he can do, kind of given his Mike Evans. He needs that one guy that could be a star, and it's panned out early. I would say Tedero McMillan's already a star as far as what he's done to this point. And it's not a finished product as far as the offense goes, but I think you needed to give him that kind of a weapon, and they did that. And then they addressed the defense in large part throughout the rest of the draft, second, third round, and so forth there. But that was needed. And to your point, you got to not only figure out what you got at quarterback, but give him the resources. I think they addressed the offensive line in 24, and here in 25, they gave him a number 1 receiver. Got 2 really quality running backs. So you're kind of eliminating the excuses where you can isolate the quarterback play because you're giving him enough to work with in the pass and the run game and the blocking.
Well, it's interesting, too, that you mentioned that draft pick that you made last year, and we'll finish with this. Ejiro, we used to call him Evie, the defensive coordinator for the Panthers, right? He worked with me at Tampa Bay. He was an analyst at the time. He was very young, and we all thought he was going to be a real deal guy. Well, sure enough, he's a defense coordinator with the Panthers. Last year, the defense was awful, and to the Panthers' credit, they didn't fire Evie. We called him Evie. They didn't fire him. They stuck with him. But then I just got through reading a very complimentary article about Evie, about how the Panthers didn't really add to the defense, but guess what? He's grabbed a hold of that group, and because they didn't panic and didn't fire him and start all over, which is the norm, they let him grow into that, and the fabric has begun to come together. And it was a very, very complimentary article about the job he's done on the defensive side of the football.
Yep, and as you know, he's a great guy, and I know great guys get fired too. But he's just a great quality human being, But again, having Derek Brown back was the key to this defense. They didn't have him at all last year. Got hurt the first game. He's the difference maker. Now J.C. Horn has evolved into that difference maker in the secondary. And I think bringing in Trayvon Merrick was big for this defense. That's kind of one big move. They gave a 4-year contract to the safety, and he's been a big part of helping with the improvement there. So some young draft picks, you plug in some holes in free agency. And I'll be honest, they're kind of, if you look at the stats, they're middle of the pack. But that's a great improvement from where they were last year, where they were like the worst rushing defense in the history of the NFL, most points in the history of the NFL. So they've come a long way. They just, on top of Derek Brown, they lost so many players last year, they just couldn't even compete after a while. But this year, I would say it's kind of middle of the pack, but that'll keep you in ball games and get you to 7-6, which is where they are right now.
All right. Jim, I appreciate you coming in, man. We'll check with you next week, hopefully after a victory, and maybe we'll move this thing forward and start building a program in Charlotte. That'll be a lot of fun to watch. I appreciate you coming in, man.
Anytime. Thank you, Steve.
All right. See you later. All righty. Little Panther talk. The Panthers. I mean, 5 weeks ago, Pilk, 5 weeks ago, did you have any hope that there would be a meaningful football game in the month of December for the Panthers?
No, I did not. After the debacle against Buffalo, I punched my seat, I left, went home and watched NASCAR, and said the season's over.
I'm telling you, man, it was some kind of bad. All right. Well, look, we got a segment. We got a little commercial coming up, and we got a segment after that. I'd love to hear from any of the folks that want to tune in and give me a call, 252-561-4263, or hit me with a tweet at Steve Logan Show. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll be right back, and a lot more stuff to get to. Stay tuned.
Planning a team meeting, family gathering, wedding, or a banquet for 1,000? Golden Corral.
Tailor coverage to meet your needs and pick up the phone when you call, because you shouldn't be on hold so long that you memorize the music. That's simple human sense.
Call Weatherly Insurance Agency at 756-9900 or online at weatherlyinsurance.com.
Honda's Holiday Elf Squad has been working overtime to deliver more gifts with more Honda Go. And during Honda's Gifts That Go sales event, you can get bonus bucks and low-rate financing on select Honda models. For family, friends, or yourself, 'tis the season to bring home some real holiday fun. Hurry into Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive, north of the airport, Greenville today. The Honda Gifts That Go sales event ends 12/31. For your safety, read the owner's manual and wear a helmet and eye protection. Always wear your seatbelt and close the side nets and doors when operating a side-by-side. Honda side-by-sides and ATVs are for riders 16 and older.
Anytime is a great time for Dunkin'. Their menu is full of great tasting items like sandwiches, bagels, donuts, and hot or iced coffee that'll get you going in the morning and keep you running throughout your busy day. Made to order, just the way you like. Save time and order ahead with your Dunkin' Rewards mobile app. With 4 locations in Greenville, Rocky Mount, Nashville, and Wilson, Eastern North Carolina runs on Dunkin'.
Hello, this is meine Auto. And this is meine key. And there is only one place I trust with meine key. Meine Key Car Care. They even offer financing options, so I can fix now and pay over time. Ooh, I love financing. And options. And meine Key. And American cheese. Remember, I only trust meine Key with meine Key. Your one-stop shop for total car care.
At participating locations, subject to credit approval, minimum monthly payment required. See store for details. Meineke locations are independently owned and operated.
It's bow time. 'Tis the season for food and family, but thanks to Bojangles, you don't have to spend hours in the kitchen when loved ones come home for the holidays. Set down the spatula and put away the mixing bowls, because this holiday season, Bojangles is ready to help you celebrate with all your family favorites like Chicken Supreme, Cajun Filet Biscuits, or a big bow box of hand-breaded chicken, scratch-made biscuits, and fixins for the whole family. We'll make the food so you can focus on making memories. Head to Bojangles and gift yourself a taste of home. It's bow time.
Is your pharmacy fumbling when it comes to customer service, prescription fills, compounding, medical equipment, and enteral intravenous therapy? Perhaps it's time for you to allow HealthWise Pharmacy to score a touchdown in regards to your pharmaceutical needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, HealthWise Pharmacy puts you and your health first, offering top-of-the-line customer service, individual attention, and free prescription delivery to anywhere in Pitt County. HealthWise Pharmacy, 615B Memorial Drive in Greenville.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back in. Week 16 edition of the Logan Zone. We just heard from the voice of the Pirates, Jim Szoke. We're going to toss it back over to Coach here in a second, but first we're going to tell you about Greenville Utilities. Even though Greenville Utilities has a reliability rate of more than 99.99%, sometimes outages happen. Just like in football, you need a plan for what to do just in case. Right now, grab your cell phone, open the contacts list, and add GUC's emergency hotline as a contact. Here's the number to use, 1-855-767-2482. That's 855-SOS2-GUC. Plan on using that instead of fumbling around when the lights go out. And as I said that, we do have our first caller calling in, so I'm toss it back over to Coach, and we'll let you know once we get the caller's name and number. Yeah.
All right, so we got a caller on deck, so let me know when you get a name there, Philip, and we'll jump right to him. I've got a tweet as well, somebody wanting me to comment on the Michigan Sharon Moore disaster, and I've got a lot of things to say about the Michigan situation, and I'll get started on that, or we'll take the caller, whichever way you think that'll fit the best. Philip, what do you think?
All righty, we have Steve on the line now. I didn't even hear what your question was. Sorry, I was getting the name from the intern. I apologize.
Okay.
What did you ask?
All right. No, we're good. We're going to go to Steve now. True?
Yep. Your show. I wanted to get your take
on
how Notre Dame reacted to the college football playoff picks, and what probably goes into that type of decision to be in a bowl or not be in a bowl, and how you think they should have handled that.
Well, Steve, I appreciate that, and that was on my list as well. Now, I'm going to give you my answer, but I need to preface my answer about Notre Dame up front. I've been openly critical forever about my attitude toward Notre Dame. Okay, the privilege that they operate under and always have, and then this ACC thing. When the ACC agreed to take Notre Dame into the ACC conference, but not in football, I about fell out of my chair, and this has been years ago. And I said to myself, everything about that is wrong. Everything about that is wrong for Notre Dame to come in and be able to pretend to be in the ACC, but not really, and have their own television network and be independent when it served their needs, but be in the ACC kind of when it served their needs. Everything about that was wrong. And I thought that the ACC, when they did that, prostituted themselves, and they thought that that was going to help them. I don't think it's helped them at all. I really don't. I don't think that Notre Dame has helped the ACC in any way, shape, or form. And what happened when the ACC took one of their true members in Miami at 10-2 and did everything they could to promote that football team into the college football playoffs at the expense of Notre Dame, who's only halfway in the ACC, I thought it was 100% correct. If I'm the ACC commissioner, I would have done the same thing, exactly the same thing. And for Notre Dame to start pitching a fit and behaving like a 12-year-old or a 6-year-old, actually, that didn't get a cookie after dinner, well, I got news for you. Welcome to the real world, Notre Dame. And then to cap it off, to announce almost immediately that, well, we're not even going to go to a bowl game. Well, I got news for you. Don't let the door hit you in the tail end on the way out. Nobody's going to miss you. I've just got such a bad... I could give you war stories from being the head coach at East Carolina and dealing with the NCAA on some issues that affected East Carolina, and I would get whatever ruling would come my way. I would turn right around the next month and I'd see an identical issue, and Notre Dame would be dealing with the NCAA, and get an exact opposite judgment. And it just absolutely just tore me up about and it was over and over and over the privilege. I will just, a little personal story. When I became the offensive coordinator at Boston College, no two victories in my career did I enjoy than curb stomping Notre Dame at Chestnut Hill and then going to Notre Dame the next year and stomping them there. I've got 2 footballs in my football office in Raleigh that were given to me by the head coach and athletic director at Boston College for those victories. I don't have a good taste in my mouth about Notre Dame, never have, never will. And what I saw happen to them, I was front row with my popcorn box open, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And then to watch them behave the way they behaved, and for that athletic director to come out and make the comments that he made about how they got screwed. They didn't get screwed. They played 2 good football teams on a 12-game schedule this year and got beat in both of them. And then they won 10 games down the stretch. Congratulations. Hard to do. I got it. It wasn't enough. And they're not as good a football team as Miami. They're just not. Notre Dame. Get me started. There was kind of a joke when I was a head coach at East Carolina. All the head coaches, we'd get together and we'd talk about all the kind of things I'm venting about right now publicly. But we'd get together and the joke is that, you know what? Notre Dame's going to go out and commit 10 or 12 recruiting violations, and it's going to make the NCAA so mad. You know what they're going to do? They're going to put East Carolina on probation for 5 years. And that's just about the experience I had. So Notre Dame, I got no sympathy for you. And your behavior after the fact kind of proves my point. You guys are on dope. You're just another school, and particularly in this day and age, you're just another school. Okay? Indiana is as good as you are now. Okay? Because it's an open season, which, by the way, I'm going to get to this. We have now entered into truly, truly, truly professional football at the collegiate level. A private equity firm has come in and bought the University of Utah athletic department. Going to be a lot of ramifications of that. We're going to take a little break. After the top of the hour, we'll come back and really look forward to taking some more of your phone calls. 252-561-4263 or hit me with a tweet at Steve Logan Show. Going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Jeff Stein here at Brown & Wood Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. Right now we have GMC 1500 Elevation 0.9% or $78.50 off. That truck also has $359 lease special. For Buick, we got the all-new Enclave. It's beautiful. It's big. It can handle all of your luggage, kids, towing, anything. Brown & Wood Buick GMC, 4 brands, 3 generations, 2 rooftops, and 1 goal to make sure you leave a happy customer.
Cold weather is here, and some families in our area need help to stay warm. Greenville Utilities' Neighbor to Neighbor program provides help for those who need temporary assistance with their heating costs. You can make a difference. Your tax-deductible donation can be added to your GUC bill each month, or you can make a one-time donation. And GUC matches all donations up to $20,000 each year. Consider helping a neighbor stay warm this winter with GUC's Neighbor to Neighbor program. For more information, call 752-7166 or visit GUC.com.
At CCS Equipment Sales, we're proud to be your one-stop certified Takeuchi construction equipment dealer. Our knowledgeable staff is dedicated to building lasting relationships by providing solutions to your needs for new or used equipment, rentals, parts, and service. Our inventory includes Takeuchi excavators, track loaders, wheel loaders, along with a wide range of attachment options. In Ayden, Angier, or Youngsville, or check us out online at ccsequipment.com. And remember, at CCS Equipment, we believe we succeed when you succeed.
Hey folks, this is Coach Steve Logan for Walton Academy and Children's World Learning Centers. I've known the Walton family for years. In fact, I coached Chad and Blake Walton in Pee Wee years ago. Walton Academy is a K-8 private school in Greenville on Arlington Boulevard. They also operate 4 Children's World Learning Centers across the city. The Waltons believe school should be a place where kids feel inspired, supported, and excited to learn. I promise you that if the Waltons put their name on something, it's done with heart, purpose, and excellence.
Anson Belt & Buckle offers a micro-adjustable, holeless belt, giving you the perfect fit every time. As an ECU alumni-owned business since 2009, Anson Belt is proud to be the official belt of East Carolina Athletics. Looking for a new belt for yourself or a special pirate? Visit AnsonBelt.com to see why over 30,000 customers have given their Anson Belt a 5-star review. With dozens of materials to choose from and thousands of possible combinations, you'll find the belt for every occasion, especially game day, at AnsonBelt.com.
Your vehicle packs a load of safety features to protect you in an accident. At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, it's our job to protect you just as well after an accident. With fast claim service from local agents, our auto coverage is a lot like an airbag. We hope you never need to use it, but we're right there and ready just in case you do. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, helping you is what we do best.
In Greenville, call 252-756-3165. That's 252-756-3165.
If you haven't been to Shaw's Barbecue in Williamston lately, you don't know what you're missing. Start the day off right with one of their sausage dogs, old-fashioned cheese biscuits, or any combination of breakfast sandwiches you can think of. For lunch or dinner, get crispy fried chicken, fresh seafood, or, of course, barbecue. You can get pulled, chopped, sliced, even G-Man chopped barbecue. What's G-Man chopped barbecue? Head to Shaw's and ask them. Shaw's Barbecue, West Boulevard in Williamston. Open daily except Sunday.
This is WRHD, Farmville, Greenville. Powered by the Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com. That's RitchieLaw.com.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into the Logan Zone, Hour 2 of the Logan Zone here in the Week 16 edition of the show. Taking your calls the rest of the way. Best caller gets an 8-piece tailgate box from Bojangles. That Bojangles football season is tailgate season again this year. Bojangles is a proud to partner with ECU Athletics to celebrate Pirate football. No matter where you are on game day, pick up a Bojangles tailgate box with all the chicken fixins, buttermilk biscuit, and fresh brewed tea hungry fans want. Remember this, Pirate Nation, when you want to step up your game day festivities, it's Bo time. Speaking of callers, we do have Kevin on the line right now, so we'll toss it back over to Coach Logan and Kevin.
All right, back in the Logan Zone we go. And Kevin, you are in the Logan Zone. What you got, man?
Hey, Coach, what's up?
I'm hanging in there.
I've noticed a little trend, and I wanted your opinion on it. It seems like, especially in the NFL, you see more and more head coaches calling the plays instead of the offensive coordinators. And then you're starting to see some of the defensive-minded head coaches, like as soon as something goes wrong, they take over calling defensive plays. So I was wondering what your thoughts on head coaches calling the plays more often than they used to.
Well, you're touching into something that I was just visiting with a football coach just this week that has gotten his first head job, and we're talking about all of those kinds of things. I can relate on a lot of different levels, and I'll tell you this: every head coach is an expert most of the time on one side of the football. We talked about this at the beginning of the first hour. And so I'll just use myself as an example. I spent my formative years trying like crazy to learn everything I could about how to coach a quarterback, how to coordinate an offense, how to call the plays, how to put points on the board, and became proficient enough at that. I got an opportunity to be a head coach. Well, suddenly you're the head coach. Now, here's what you don't know about being a head coach. Once you become the head coach, the administrative duties that come along with being the head football coach quickly and very quickly overwhelm the football side of being a football coach. So if you want to be, like I did, for the first 2 or 3 years that I was the head coach at East Carolina, I was functionally and effectively the head football coach, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach, and the play caller on game day, and the game manager on game day. Okay? So, I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but I'm just telling you that if that's the route you choose to go, first of all, there are reasons to do that. If you firmly believe in your heart you're the best man for the job to save your job, that's exactly what you should do. But I'm here to testify. That is a long day at the office, because here's what happens to you functionally. During the day when it doesn't matter whether this is NFL or college, from 8 in the morning to 5, 6 o'clock at night, all of the administrators are in, the general managers in the building in the NFL, the ADs in the building in the collegiate level. And so you may be in a 9 o'clock staff meeting with the offense if you're the offensive coordinator, head coach, quarterback coach. Well, you're in there running an offensive meeting and you're deciding how to build your game plan for the week. And the general manager, secretary, or the AD's secretary knocks on the door. Hey, the general manager or the AD, whichever level you're talking about, they got to see you, and they got to see you right now. Why? Well, because God knows what just happened administratively that you have to become involved in, and it sucks your time and energy away from what it is you really should be doing, which is attempting to win the next football game. Because, again, and this is a Loganism, okay? Your contract in football is exactly for 6½ days. That's it. And if you lose the next game, all hell will break loose emotionally with administrators, fan bases, boards of trustees, general managers at the pro level. All hell breaks loose every time you lose a football game, because none of those people have any toughness about them. And they live in a real short-term world. Okay? But if you win the game, then things are somewhat manageable for what? The next 6½ days. So the point I'm making is that what do I think about a head coach that is the head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, play caller, or like Blake Harrell is going to do at East Carolina this month. He's going to be the head coach, defensive coordinator, defensive play caller for the football game. Something like, it's going to be a long day at the office. So how do you do that? Well, here's how you do it. From 8 to 5 every day, you basically have to give your mind, body, and soul to the administrative side of the football program, dealing with players, dealing with discipline issues, dealing with practice schedules, dealing with transportation, whatever the case may be. Then when everybody, finally the players go home, the administrators go home, guess what you do? You start your second day of the day. You came to work at 6:30 in the morning, and basically you administrated all the way till 5 or 6 o'clock. At the end of that, you then begin to close your door and concentrate on football. Well, guess what? From 6 o'clock till what? Midnight? You're formulating a game plan with your staff. So you're looking at an 18-hour day every day. And I got news for you. You can do that for a while, but you can't do it for very long. And the best way is to do that for 2 or 3 years until your body just can't take it anymore, but you're grooming a young man under you, or a man that's as old as you, doesn't matter, but you're grooming a man on your staff to begin to take over that quarterback play calling duty. And then on game day, you're 99% sure most of the time that he's calling exactly and making that offense behave exactly the way that you would have had you still shouldered all of those responsibilities. Same thing's true on defense. Okay, that you're grooming a guy that if you're a defensive head coach, you taught that defense to somebody on the staff, and he's been with you 2, 3, 4 years. He knows what you're going to call on 3rd down 6 with the ball on the left hash and the wind blowing 40 miles an hour from one end of the stadium to the other. All the other factors that come into calling one singular football play, all right, that man's going to behave pretty much the way you would have. And then your program begins to take on some substance at that point, and you got a chance to win some football games. The best play calling experience I had as a head coach, I had a man named Doug Martin that came to my staff the very first day I became head coach. I hired him as a tight end coach. He grew into my wide receiver coach, and then maybe the 3rd, 4th, 5th year, something like that, I gave him the quarterbacks, and then he began to call the plays. I mean, a lot of plays. But here's the point. Doug would be calling a game, and I'm watching the game from the sideline, and I'm managing the game, which that's a whole nother discussion about game management. There's a whole hell of a lot going on there, okay? But I would be managing the game. I'd be watching Doug call the game, and then I would interject from time to time on a 3rd down call. Because I've called a million plays in my life, and I know that you can get way down in the weeds and lose sight of the big picture. And I could integrate a 3rd down call. I'd say, hey, Doug, it's time for this, and give him one call. Boom, that call would go in. And again, the success rate for those kinds of calls, because I was out of the woods, out of the weeds, and able to see a little bit of the big picture, and I could help Doug with the play, down-to-down play calling. All right? That was, I'm telling you, man, we had that thing humming. And when you have 2 people that have been in a system together for a long time, that's powerful stuff on game day. That's really powerful stuff. And I'm sure the same thing is true of some defensive head coaches that have a defensive coordinator underneath them that they know, love, and trust. And it's a powerful way to do business. I can testify to that. It is an absolutely powerful way to do business. That's the best of both worlds. But, in the NFL, I will say this. In my time in professional football, the daily distractions for the head coach are much less administratively for a professional NFL head football coach than they are for a Division I head football coach at the collegiate level. Okay, it's a little bit less There's still distractions. You still have to deal with some stuff as the head coach in the NFL, because players, employees, stupid things will still happen. Okay, and you do have to deal with them. So, which that kind of leads me into, I do want to. There's a whole hour that I could talk on this Sharon Moore, Michigan situation. I mentioned at the top of the show, at the top of the beginning of this show, that hiring anybody is the scariest thing you'll ever do in your life. Well, I want to just, examining the Michigan situation. I want to go back, because if you're going to be the guy that's responsible for hiring people, you got to take the blame, you got to take the credit, okay? Well, the Michigan athletic director 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, whatever it was, hired Jim Harbaugh. Now, Jim Harbaugh is one of those guys that he's going to win football games, but there's a certain amount of baggage that historically has come with Jim Harbaugh. I happened to be on a staff that followed Jim Harbaugh at the San Francisco 49ers. And I could talk to you, I could give you war stories about Jim Harbaugh stuff. I don't know Jim Harbaugh, but I can just tell you stuff. Well, the point I'm making is this. This Connor Stallion sign-stealing thing that was uncovered at Michigan under Jim Harbaugh, okay, is unbelievable. And I'm just telling you right now that Connor Stallion and the defensive staff at Michigan had gone about and filmed other coaches, other opponents' signals, and the Michigan defense, the entire most of the year that they won the national championship, had a good idea if it was a run or a pass. Think about how powerful that would be. If you're a defensive coordinator and you knew that the next play coming up was 100% a pass play, what would your call be? If you knew as a defensive coordinator that the team coming out of the huddle was going to come out of the huddle and run the football, you knew that, what would your call be? That is the most dramatic level of tilting the playing field of anything I've ever heard of. That took place under Jim Harbaugh. Do you know who was implicitly involved in that sign-stealing thing? One, Sharon Moore. He was called into the NCAA the day the Connor Stallion thing broke. Sharon Moore deleted 52 text message chains. Deleted. And upon further investigation, they went in and pulled those supposedly deleted text messages up. And Sharon Moore was hip deep in that thing. Well, the AD at Michigan, when Jim Harbaugh leaves, he elevates Sharon Moore, who then had to serve a couple of games suspension for his involvement in that activity. Now, hold that thought. As a man that's been a head coach, and I had coaches and players, that everything they did would eventually, if they did something in a negative way, I would have to get involved. Because I either recruited the young man or I hired the coach that has caused a distraction. All right? Now, I'm going to take you all the way back to my dad, J.W. Logan. I can't tell you the number of times he'd say to me, we'd be talking about stuff like Sharon Moore, the involvement there, and it didn't matter. I could hear him saying it, and I knew he was going to say it when you grow up with your dad. We'd been talking about something like this, and he'd shake his head and he'd say, son, it's either sex, drugs, or money. 100% of the time, if the crap's hitting the fan about something, it's sex, drugs, or money. Well, so you've got a guy that was hip deep involved in the Connor Stallion debacle at Michigan, stealing signs, which, by the way, led the NCAA finally waking up and letting the coaches go coach to quarterback or coach to middle linebacker communications during the game. You don't need signals anymore. But that was the only reason the NCAA finally folded and joined the 21st century with the technology available that's been in the NFL for 100 years. Stupid. That was stupid on the NCAA. The NCAA, don't get me started on that either. You talk about stupid now. I mean stupid stuff. All right? But you've got a guy that's deeply involved in the sign-stealing debacle, and then you elevated that guy to become your head coach? And then guess what? Sex, drugs, and money. One of those three is right there in the middle of what eventually gets Sharon Moore fired. And I got news for you. I had a couple of situations like that when you've got a player or a coach that goes down one of those roads, it's going to blow the program completely wide open. And I had to deal with a couple of them. Luckily, it didn't cost us the whole program. But I'll tell you one thing, you got to get rid of those guys yesterday. You got to get rid of them yesterday. But I'm just shining a light on the athletic director, okay? It's your job to hire the right guy. Well, you bring in Harbaugh. Yeah, you won a lot of football games. Yeah, you brought the baggage with you. Then you elevated a guy that was hip deep in the baggage, and now you're surprised at where you are now? I'm not. Whew. Like I say, just wake up tomorrow morning, open up your little laptop, read the news. You won't believe what's going to happen tonight, and it'll blow your mind. What's happening tomorrow. All right, when we get back, we'll jump off into the 12-team tournament is set. We'll talk about the football teams. And by the way, just to make sure, keep everybody really upset, the starting quarterback at Oklahoma University that has led Oklahoma University into the college football playoff, the starting quarterback that they bought from Washington State last year to come in to help them get to the playoffs, has announced he ain't playing in the playoffs. Folks, I've been to 2 goat ropings and a county fair, and I cannot believe what I see every day in the new world of college football. All right, we'll take a break. If you want to get in on this, 252-561-4263, or hit me with a tweet at Steve Logan Show. We'll be right back.
Bet365 is paying out before the final whistle.
Check out Bet365's unrivaled early payout offer. When you bet on a team to win and they take a 17-point lead, you get paid no matter the final score. Forget the final whistle and start counting that cash. Hold up. You get early payout on parlays, too.
Download the app and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Must be physically located in North Carolina. T&Cs apply.
Medlin Chevrolet is your trusted Ayton dealership. Medlin Chevrolet has made their home in Ayton, serving Pitt, Lenoir, and surrounding areas for 7 years. We are growing. Now under construction is our brand new service facility to serve you even better. Try our service department for your work trucks, fleet, and personal vehicles, and you'll be with us for life. Our staff are courteous, service-minded professionals that answer the phones themselves and walk you through your purchase or service journey. Find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle today at Medlin Chevrolet, Monday through Saturday, Highway 11, Ayton.
Have you had a colonoscopy? If you're between the ages of 45 and 75, you need to be screened regularly for colorectal cancer. Dr. Philip Goldstein and Dr. Maurice Marquardt at Carolina Digestive Diseases and Endoscopy Center want to keep you healthy. They provide treatment and quality care for all GI needs. Just call the office at 252-758-8181.
This is Dr. Maurice Marquardt, reminding you that colonoscopy can save your life. Visit our website at cddgastro.com and come see us at Carolina Digestive Diseases.
As fall approaches, 2 things come to mind: football and cooler weather. This is Rachel Davis with Advanced Mechanical Heating and Air. We wanted to thank you for the trust you have put in us this summer. Before you know it, cooler temperatures will arrive, signaling winter is on the way. Don't wait. Prepare now for colder temperatures by scheduling a tune-up. Give us a call today at 252-355-9191 or visit our website, advancedmechnc.com.
Hey folks, this is Coach Steve Logan. My friends at Dogwood State Bank are pirates, and they are changing the landscape of community banking. That term, community banking, is not just a catchy slogan for Dogwood State Bank. They really are redefining what it means to bank local. Big banks may want big business, but Dogwood State Bank wants your business no matter what the size. At Dogwood, your business is big business. Dogwood State Bank has offices in Greenville, Morehead City, Wilmington, Raleigh, Sanford, Fayetteville, and Charlotte.
Member FDIC.
For over 51 years, Parker's Barbecue has brought families together with our award-winning whole hog barbecue and fried chicken. Tradition is important at Parker's Barbecue, and for 3 generations, the Parker's Way has stood the test of time. Whether you visit our dining rooms or drive-thrus, use our on-site catering, or even use our nationwide shipping, the hospitality, barbecue, fried chicken, homemade sides are still the same.
We are the Parker family. Come in and let our family show you. This is the Parker's Way.
Hey folks, Coach Logan here. Did you know that one of the top-rated insurance agencies in the country has been operating right here in our backyard since 1952? Snipes Insurance was just awarded a 2025 Best Practices designation, one of only 16 in North Carolina to receive this honor. Director of Benefits and Pirate alum Lewis Gale lives right here in Greenville. They also have a dedicated commercial and agricultural department. Check them out at snipesinsurance.com or email Lewis at snipesinsurance.com.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back in. Week 16 edition of the Logan Zone here. About half an hour left in the show, taking your calls the rest of the way. But as for now, Coach Logan's going to talk about the 12-team playoff. It is set, second consecutive year. Now the College Football Playoff Committee is going to 12, a little bit of an edit to how they do things this year. And Coach Logan, we got 2 group of 5 teams in this thing. I think they better enjoy it while it lasts. Something tells me next year they're going to have a season like Boise State did last year and be about number 3 in the country to be in this thing. What do you think, Coach?
I think that you've said it exactly right. From the very beginning, this little carved out slot for the group of 5, it was a nice gesture. And it was palatable to the big boys. But what has happened this year where suddenly there's going to be 2 of them, I can tell you right now that behind closed doors, Greg Sankey and the commissioner of the Big Ten, soon and very soon, they're going to eliminate that altogether. Now, they're either going to eliminate it or you're going to go to 16 teams and then you'll be able to let Tulane and, an American Athletic Conference, a Mountain West Conference football team, maybe a couple of them come into a 16-team field. But I'm telling you right now that, just listen to this. The 12-team tournament has been set. And the number 12 team that was led into the tournament due to Duke winning the ACC is James Madison University. Now, I'm all for that. In a way I'm not. But James Madison coming in at 12, do you know who they're going to play in the first game of this tournament? They're going to go to Oregon, which they are one of the top 3 teams, 4 at the best, or 4 at the most, top 4 teams in the country at Oregon. Okay, now, anything can happen in a football game. I can testify to that. And I do believe in David versus Goliath. I believe that. But folks, I'm telling you right now that JMU, if you look at the schedule that they played, I mean, come on, get real. Look at the level of football they played. And for them to be in this tournament, it's an absolute fluke. It was never meant to be this way. And there's going to be a reckoning for this, okay? Now, JMU could go out there and win the football game. Anything's possible. I don't think that's going to happen. So you've got JMU versus Oregon, first round game. Then you've got Tulane that's going to go to Mississippi. Well, Mississippi and Tulane have already played, and that was a 40-something to 14 football game. And so you got to believe that they'll probably be, maybe Tulane acclimates a little bit better this time around. Mississippi does have the Lane Kiffin distraction at work, although they did the wise thing on the surface and elevated their defensive coordinator. And hopefully he wasn't involved hip deep in a cheating scandal somewhere along the way. The AD did his due diligence. I'm poking the bear at Michigan right now when I say that. But Tulane at Mississippi. And again, that's palatable to everybody. But you know and I know, let me just ask anybody this question. Texas and Notre Dame, for that matter. Texas and Notre Dame are sitting this one out. And you've got James Madison in. And Tulane, which again, that's somewhat palatable because that's the way the thing was set up. It wasn't set up to have 2 of the Blue Bloods sitting out. And that's an upside-down dynamic. The next thing you've got going on, you've got Miami at Texas A&M. That's going to be a very interesting football game. You've got Alabama at Oklahoma. Hold the presses right there, sports fans. I'm pretty sure this is accurate. Philip, would you look this up for me and make sure that I didn't get catfished or fed something that wasn't accurate? John Mateer is the quarterback at Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma's had a hard time scoring points all year long. They had a hard time scoring points last year when they were a 6-6 football team, but they went out and bought the offensive coordinator and the quarterback from Washington State to come in and resurrect their offense. And that quarterback, I think his name's John Mateer. he's pretty good. Now, he got hurt this year, so things didn't really work out. But toward the last part of the season, Mateer's been playing at about 80%. He's a good player. But Oklahoma has won the games they've won all year long the old, hard-fashioned, old school way, defense and special teams. And they have not been very good on offense. But John Mateer, the quarterback, has announced, if this is accurate, that he's not going to play in the college football playoff game against Alabama.
About that, Coach. I'm on the internet and Twitter on, the big-time reporters' Twitter pages. I'm not seeing anything about it.
Good. I hope it's not true, because that came my way today, and I about fell out of my chair, and I thought, well, now, if that's happening, nothing left is sacred. Because we all understand, just like Jim Zoki talked about the University of Pittsburgh, there's going to be how many players not play against East Carolina. Well, that's become somewhat routine, and, you kind of get used to the exception. But I hope that's not true, because you talk about something that will really, really, put a damper on the whole college football playoff idea, is when you see the big boys, I'm talking about the big boys like Oklahoma or like Georgia. If you see players begin to opt out of that, I got news for you now. That won't be healthy. I hope that's not true. But anyway, back to the matchups. We've got
one report on it, Coach, but it's one of those Twitter pages that goes out there and puts out fake crap all the time.
Okay, so it's a catfish deal.
Yeah, I think so.
Hopefully. I hope that's true, but I'm going to follow up on that. But anyway, we're back to the bracket. We've got Alabama and, Alabama, Oklahoma. Now, that's at Oklahoma. Alabama is an interesting football team. They've got talent, lots of talent, and they just don't ever seem to play really good team football. Now, they went to Georgia last week and just got rolled and ended the game. Earlier in the program, I was kidding my producer, Philip Pilkington, about being on the planet for how many years, and finally his beloved Duke wins an ACC championship. Didn't think he'd ever see it. Well, let me tell you something. I've been on the planet 72 years, and if you were ever going to tell me that the University of Alabama played a football game and ended the game with -3 yards rushing, I'd have told you were on crack cocaine. That would never happen. Well, it did. It did. That happened last week when Georgia did that to Alabama. I never thought I'd see that in my entire life. So Alabama is a really schizophrenic football team. They got talent. They got a lot of talent. And that's going to be one of the really interesting opening round games, Alabama at Oklahoma, for a couple of reasons. Just what I mentioned. Oklahoma's defense is elite. Alabama's defense is good. Oklahoma's offense has not been good all year long. The best that Oklahoma can hope for out of their offense, to be honest with you, and I've watched them quite a bit this year. I'm from Oklahoma, so I tune in and keep up with them. But the best that Oklahoma can hope for to win that football game, they're going to have a zero-turnover football game offensively and let their defense go to work and don't make any mistakes on the special teams, which they've successfully done that all year long. And Oklahoma's kind of the ugliest team in this tournament. Now, I'm not talking about JMU or Tulane. I'm just talking about the big boys that are in this tournament. They're an ugly football team. They win ugly, but they're winning, and they're tough as nails. They are a true reflection of their head football coach, Brent Venables. Brent Venables is one of the really top drawer, top echelon defensive coaches in the country. And everywhere he goes, they play great defense, and of course they're doing that at Oklahoma. They have not solved the offensive side of the football under Coach Venables, and they haven't solved it again this year. But to their credit, they're playing good football. So, that's your first round matchup. So where that leads you, if you want to keep on going here, where that leads you, you got to believe Oregon is going to take care of business against JMU. So the next week, what you're going to see then is Oregon at Texas Tech. Okay? Now, comment on that. I got very interested in the Texas Tech football program when they kind of jumped out really ahead of everybody. Well, I shouldn't say that. SMU jumped out ahead of everybody and went and bought a conference championship last year in the ACC and almost did it again this year. You know, the oil money came flowing in once everybody figured out that there is no more college football. This is professional football, so go buy a football team. Well, the two oil billionaires down at SMU jumped in and did that. And guess what? Lubbock said, well, golly, we can play that game. And they jumped in and went and bought a football team. I've watched Texas Tech play football this year a lot out of curiosity. And for the first time in the history of Texas Tech, they've got a monstrous defensive football team. They've got a good offensive football team, but not great. And on top of that, their quarterback, who's supposed to be good, he's good. Not great. Not great at all. Not what you think that you might have if you were writing blank checks. And so the point I'm making about that, Oregon takes care of business at James Madison. I believe Oregon will beat Texas Tech. And there's a new analytic, and I'm like everybody else. You know, I watch the analytics. Let me clarify that. I watch and read and research analytics to this day. They're highly entertaining and highly interesting. I don't adhere to analytics on how to manage a football game. I do not. And again, I've commented on that earlier in the hour. The game management situations that I see, particularly at the collegiate level, are egregious, bordering on stupid. Because the computer said do this, you do that? You kidding me? It's just beyond anything I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, I got to believe.
The computer told them to jump in front of a city bus, they'd go do it.
They have. Duke did it last week, as I mentioned. Duke tried every way in the world to lose that football game analytically when they had it won. Three separate occasions had the game locked up inside of 3 minutes. At 3 separate occasions, put Virginia right back in the football game. It was just, as you can tell, I haven't gotten over it. But anyway, the analytics, what I was trying to get to is there is an analytic called a Football Efficiency Index, FEI, Football Efficiency Index. And this has to do with taking meaningful snaps on meaningful drives against meaningful opponents and plugging it in, and some geek has developed an index about how efficient your football team is. Well, the Texas Tech Football Efficiency Index on offense, they're only ranking about 37th or 38th in the country, and that's not good when you're in a 12-team playoff. Their Football Efficiency Index is not good, and it has everything to, this is Steve Logan just watching. I didn't need a computer to get suspicious about Texas Tech's offense. I'm watching these games, 3, 4, 5 Texas Tech football games, weekend after weekend, going, I want to watch these guys. This is the best that money can buy. And I kept going, there's something wrong with that quarterback. There's something wrong with Texas Tech's offense. And sure enough, I get on this FEI index, boom. There it is, Logan. Your eyes aren't lying to you. All right, we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back. Give me a call, 252-561-4263, or hit me at Twitter, at Steve Logan Show. We'll be right back.
Turn your car into cash with an instant Kelley Blue Book offer from Barber Hendrick Honda in Greenville. Go online to barberhendrickhonda.com to value your trade, explore inventory, and apply for financing, all from the comfort of home. At Barber Hendrick Honda, we have great deals on new inventory and an extensive used inventory that includes all makes and models. Schedule service for your vehicle online and take advantage of our monthly specials. Barber Hendrick Honda, a proud member of the Eastern North Carolina community at the point of Greenville Boulevard and Memorial Drive.
I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes.
the football stadium, the baseball stadium, the Pirate Club, whatever it is, Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all of this is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and in the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
It's bow time. 'Tis the season for food and family, but thanks to Bojangles, you don't have to spend hours in the kitchen when loved ones come home for the holidays. Set down the spatula and put away the mixing bowls, because this holiday season, Bojangles is ready to help you celebrate with all your family favorites like Chicken Supreme, Cajun Filet Biscuits, or a big bow box of hand-breaded chicken, scratch-made biscuits, and fixins for the whole family. We'll make the food so you can focus on making memories. Head to Bojangles and gift yourself a taste of home. It's bow time.
Hey, Pirate fans. Take a trip, consolidate debt, update your home. Whatever you're planning, a personal loan up to $5,000 can help. Coach Logan here from my friends at National Finance Company. With NFC, you can get cash now. Loans up to $5,000, same-day cash, and fixed monthly payments. If you need to borrow money, trust the company that has been helping Carolinians for more than 50 years. National Finance Company. Apply at any of their 24 North Carolina locations or at nfcmoney.com.
When making decisions on your insurance coverages to protect your most valuable assets, First State Insurance Advisors is here to help. When you choose First State, you are working with people you can trust right here in Eastern North Carolina. Clark Stallings and his team provide knowledgeable advice with excellent service. Whether you're protecting your family with life insurance, your home and auto with personal coverage, or your business with reliable commercial insurance, First State Insurance Advisors has you covered. We would be honored to become your trusted choice agency.
I remember this little girl, hearing her parents fighting, seeing them arguing, feeling every emotion of fear, sadness, even guilt. I remember her because she was me, and she still is. I'm Ashley Nicole Russell, and I know firsthand that divorce can have a lifelong impact on a child. And when attorneys put their own interests first, it only tears families further apart. That's why I grew up to become an attorney who focuses on common ground, peaceful divorce for the whole family. Contact us at michaelandrussell.com and anrlaw.com today.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into the Logan Zone here. Final segment. We've got 13 minutes left in the show, so taking your calls for the next about 10 minutes or so here at 252-561-4263. But for now, we're going to toss it back over to the host of the Logan Zone, Coach Steve Logan.
All right, let's just continue on. We've been talking about the 12-team tournament, some of the matchups, and I think, how far did I get? I got to Alabama and Oklahoma, which I think is going to be a really interesting first-round matchup. Then we talked about Oregon and Texas Tech, because Texas Tech gets a bye. I think Oregon's going to win that football game. I just do. And then so you're into the second round now, and suddenly you're either going to get Alabama or Oklahoma. I think that's a toss-up football game, and they're going to be playing Indiana. This Indiana thing, week after week after week, they make you believe in who they are and what they do. And they make you believe in Kurt Signetti and what he's done there. And they just, I don't know that Alabama or Oklahoma can beat Indiana. I just don't know that that's going to happen. I doubt it. The next round matchup, you're going to see, I think that Ole Miss is going to beat Tulane. So that second round matchup, you're going to be seeing Mississippi at Georgia. Now, that football game was played earlier in the season, and it was a toe-to-toe SEC knockdown dragout. And I think you're going to see another one. And I think the Lane Kiffin situation at Ole Miss is going to work to Ole Miss's benefit in an upside-down way. I saw where Charlie Weiss Jr. is going to come back and go ahead and run the offense like he's been doing. And, you've got the defense coordinator still in place. I think you're going to have a locker room that is going to bond over the exit of the head coach. And I think you're going to see a really pumped up Ole Miss football team, and they're going to be playing Georgia. And I think you're going to see another knockdown drag-out. Now, Georgia, to me, is a complete football team. I mean, they can, they run the football. Their play-action passing game is deadly. They're capable of operating in a 3rd down 9 situation, which there's a list of things that you're going to have to be good at. I've got it right here in front of me, that just some notes that I wrote down. If you're going to be a good football team, some of the things you've got to be really good at, which, if you're a great football team, you're good at all these things. But, 3rd down 9, I'll talk about that in a minute. That 3rd down 9 got to have it football play, who's good at that and who's not. There's some teams in this situation, in this college football playoff, they're not good at 3rd down and 9. They're real good football teams. But 3rd down 9, 3rd down 12, 3rd down 8, there's some teams in here, their quarterbacks are not built for that, and I'll talk about that here in a second. So down the road we go. After Ole Miss and Georgia in the 2nd round, you're looking at either Miami or Texas A&M. So this Miami-Texas A&M game, this is going to lead me into what I was going to talk to. Miami or Texas A&M is going to play Ohio State. But let me tell you about Texas A&M. What I mentioned about Texas Tech earlier, when I'd watch them and I just started, I'm uncomfortable. I love their defense. I love Texas Tech's defense, and I'm watching their offense, and they have numbers. Their numbers are good. But I keep saying to myself, that quarterback is riding the coattails of the talent on that football team rather than the players riding the coattails of the quarterback. Okay, a great quarterback takes everybody with them. Okay, and what I'm watching with Texas Tech is a quarterback riding along on the talent he's surrounded with. I feel the same way about Texas A&M. Texas A&M's quarterback, I think Texas A&M's a real good football team. They kind of did a little bit of the Notre Dame thing. If you go back and peel the onion back on their schedule, they won 11 football games. You got to give them credit. They didn't beat Texas. They shoulda, coulda, woulda, but they didn't. I'm going to tell you why they didn't. It's because of the quarterback. The quarterback at Texas A&M is a fantastic athlete. That's what I call a one-look, take-off running guy. And I've had to coach a couple of quarterbacks like that, and I'd rather be shot right in the face than have to do that again. It's the most frustrating thing in the world to have an elite athlete at quarterback that just can't or won't operate in the pocket to find your first receiver, get to the second, possibly the third, and then take off and use your God-given ability if you're a great runner. Okay, one of my best examples of somebody that could really, there are two. These are old school names that'll blow your mind. Two quarterbacks that could run like the wind and did when they needed to and could hurt you with their feet. Aaron Rodgers, Steve Young. Those two guys, to me, were as good as it gets because of the speed. When Aaron Rodgers was young and he got through his first, second, third progression, nobody's open. He could stay alive in a pocket and run at a last resort and just destroy your soul on defense. Okay? Now, take it back to what brought this conversation about, the quarterback at Texas A&M. Okay, now you've got the opposite of that. You got this guy that's got a rifle arm, which there's another thing that I kind of hate, is the guy that throws the football 4 million miles an hour. Okay? You got that guy that all the scouts love and the quarterback coaches hate because they can't feather a ball in and they don't have any touch. But boy, he sure can throw it hard. Well, anyway, that's what it looks like to me with Texas A&M. Their quarterback is that guy. It's one look, and I'm out of here. And then all of a sudden he scrambles for 40, and everybody gets excited, and oh my goodness, that's a great deal. But that is not sustainable. And it showed up in the Texas game. It showed up in the Texas game. the quarterback that had the most well-rounded presentation was at the University of Texas. The talent was fairly equal on both sides of the football. The difference was the quarterback. Arch Manning, who has slowly developed and gotten better this year, was better in the pocket, and I still think he's got a long way to go. But Arch Manning can run when he needs to. He can't run like the Texas A&M quarterback, but he was a more well-rounded quarterback and a more well-rounded presentation. If you're a play caller, you can get into a rhythm with that kind of a quarterback. Coaching the other guy at Texas A&M, I've been there. I'm telling you, it's the most chaotic thing, and the number of wide open receivers that are left on the field will send you to drink. And I'm just telling you. What do you got, Philip? You were just dying to interrupt me. I know I hit a nerve, didn't I?
Coach. I texted you about the caller.
Oh. Well, okay. This is just like being a head coach. I'm in my office, and I'm doing my game plan, and here comes a player with a problem, and I will help solve it. Who we got?
We've got Jim on the line, Coach.
Jim, come on. You're in the Logan Zone. Give it to me, man.
Okay, Coach. I don't believe the group of 5 teams should be in the national playoff because teams spending $5 to $15 million on their teams can't compete with teams spending $30 to $50 million on their teams. Now, you've got Fox, ESPN, CBS, and ABC broadcasting college football games. I don't see why in the world NBC, if they had a brain in their heads, wouldn't get with the NCAA and the group of 5 teams and have a playoff of group of 5 teams. What's wrong with that?
Nothing is wrong with that, and I'm telling you, you said exactly what Steve Logan has said previously. That day is coming. That day is coming. This thing is going to end up in 2 super conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, and then they're going to make divisions just like the NFL. That's where college football is going to go, and the group of 5 is going to be relegated to exactly what we're talking about, group of 5. It's going to be its own entity. It's going to have its own tournament, and that will all happen when NBC or whoever it is that figures out, hey, let's just go ahead and monetize collectively the group of 5. There is enough interest there. There is enough money there. And Memphis or South Florida or East Carolina, those fan bases won't suffer from that. In fact, I think once that it's embraced, I think that there's a way in which that it would actually grow. And that new generation would come along and say, hey, we're the group of 5 national champion. I think that's coming. And I know there might be some people listening to this show right now going, my God, that's the worst thing I've ever heard. No, it's really not. It's really not. Because right now, the playing field that some of these teams are being pushed on is so uneven. It's a clown show. It's a clown show to have James Madison go to Oregon in a college football playoff national championship. I'm sorry. And I'm all for JMU. I really am. I am a David fan, not necessarily a Goliath fan. I don't mind David and Goliath, but you got to give David a couple of rocks to throw. There aren't even any rocks to throw anymore because the playing field has become so imbalanced in this new day. It's not college football. It's professional football. And if you don't have a general manager with the ability to write a paycheck and buy yourself a locker room full of competitive football players, why in the world are you going to even get on the bus and go play that football game? And believe me, I'm talking out both sides of my mouth a little bit, but I'm just telling you that if you want to get truthful, if you want to get honest, that's what the NCAA has wrought. And again, I'm the only guy that will get back and tell you where this all started. It's the NCAA's fault that they never would pay these athletes. and the House settlement came along and blew the lid off everything, and now you're paying the athletes, which is what the NCAA, if they just would have given the football players and the basketball players, I don't know, just pick a figure, $20,000 a year. None of this would have happened. Think about what I'm saying. $20,000 a year is compared to a Duke quarterback making $2 million a year? That's as stupid as anything else I'm talking about. But that's where we are. Thank you, NCAA. But I'm right there with you. I think the Group of Five is a monetized entity waiting to happen, and there will be great interest and a lot of eyeballs and a lot of commercials sold for a Group of Five, 12-team playoff, and a national champion declared in and of their own right. We'll see how it goes. I could be dead wrong. All right. I've had all the fun I can stand. I appreciate it. Philip, what time are we going to be back next Thursday? Is that a 5 o'clock or a 4 o'clock kickoff?
Normal 5 o'clock show, Coach.
All right. We'll see y'all next Thursday, 5 o'clock. Appreciate you listening. See you.